Welcome back. I want us now to talk about the situation with the IEBC. It is the very last day of Wafula Chebukati, Professor Abdi Guliye, and Boya Molu, who've been commissioners of the IEBC. Let's listen to what Wafula Chebukati said as he leaves office.
The outcome of the inquiry, we believe, will bolster the independence of the Commission and ensure that it maintains the stature contemplated by the Constitution. It will also enable a future election environment devoid of harassment, intimidation, profiling, and harm of Commission staff while discharging their duties.
All right, Chairman Wafula Chebukati, after 6 years, he's saying that there is necessity to institute a commission of inquiry to look into the events of 15th of August at the Bomas of Kenya. The march talked about sort of Bomas rupture. Deputy Speaker, tell me about what you think about that suggestion. And several people, including the President, said that from where he sits, it is not the best time to get back to reviewing what happened at the Bomas of Kenya. But do you think this is a necessity, an area that the country must go at a time that already 4 commissioners have been taken to a tribunal, 3 have quit, 1 remains to defend her seat?
Sam, if you listen carefully to the chairman IEBC, Mr. Wafula Chebukati, in his closing remarks, even if they're exiting, they are leaving the commission. They feel that a lot happened during the last elections. And it is for the interest of the country, so that moving forward, such things do not happen again, to have that conversation, to ask ourselves as the country what happened during that period of time. So to me, I think even though the President wants to have the country move together, it is still good to use the side mirror. You can't just drive without looking at what happened yesterday or what is behind you, so that we can now streamline future elections. I actually attended yesterday's function, and even seeing the body language of the 3 commissioners, there were people who were under siege. They did whatever they could under very difficult circumstances to make sure that the country stood together. So to me, it's good because also the other thing was initiated, the tribunal, and some of the commissioners, resigned. It's a good conversation so that we can move together as a country. You see, the reason even we have this post-election evaluation is to check what happened during the last elections. Where were where were the challenges, and how can we overcome the challenges in future elections? So having that discussion the chairman talked about is just one of the ways of evaluating the last elections. Right. And to me, it's a good thing, but should be done carefully.
You conduct a public inquiry to what end?
No, what I mean is that it's a good discussion. To me, it is. Whatever might happen, but it is...
No, that's what I'm asking, because we have read the affidavit of Wafula Chebukati before the Supreme Court. We've seen at least Commissioner Irene Masit before the tribunal, which is going on with its work. 3 commissioners have resigned. So when you conduct such a commission of inquiry, what are some of the actionable points would you want to see?
Let us ask ourselves, Sam. Suppose this tribunal was not set up and everything was made normal, like nothing happened. And we have the 4 commissioners again who should be left today. The chairman and the 2 commissioners are leaving office today. So suppose maybe the system closed the eyes and the 4 commissioners are still in the commission, and because of they have the history of the commission, they want to be left in the commission. And then we recruit maybe 3 more, 2 and the chairman. So what could have happened if we still have the same team?
And therefore my question, because now they are out of the way, Commissioner Masit, we don't know what the tribunal will decide, but I mean, what do you want to achieve?
Let me say that if you look even at the recommendations of the IEBC, this report, the post-election evaluation report. They're even talking of how do you access the National Tallying Center, because that is one of the challenges. Who should access the Tallying Center? Because if you have everybody into the tallying center, you cannot avoid those chaos, because, you know, nobody wants to accept that the tallying is okay, I'm being defeated, honorably sitting there. So who should really access the tallying? So that is one of the recommendations they are talking about. So I think it's a good thing to evaluate what happened.
Okay. Governor, I'll come to you, but first, Wakili, Chairman of the Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights Committee, I hope I've gotten that right.
Yes, you're right.
What would be the purpose of an inquiry? And secondly, as we get to this side of recruiting new commissioners, we still don't have a law. It is pending at the Senate. That is the IBC Amendment Bill of 2022. What's going on with that?
Some statistics, I stand corrected, gives us that we have had over 13 elections in Kenya from 1963. Out of the 13, 7 are presidential elections. Now, in the context of the speech by the chairman, the Honorable Wafula Chebukati yesterday, he spoke about what you have just asked as to what do we want to achieve by setting up this commission of inquiry. He was speaking in the context of the National Tallying Center, what transpired. And by the way, Sam, I was there for 4 days. I came in once I was done from Bomet County before I could pick my own certificate from the IBC. I came into the Bomas of Kenya. And remember, we should not lose the fact that this is a 6-piece election. From the member of county assembly, the member of national assembly, women representative, senator, governor, and presidential. Chebukati spoke about what transpired in the National Tallying Center. And we seem to be forgetting the fact that it is 6. And the one that normally bring issues where the whole world, the country is so heavily involved in is the presidential election. And it's for obvious reasons, such that when Chebukati says we would want to have a commission of inquiry, what he's seeking to achieve is the fact that we should not forget the element of 6 elections, 5, everyone is okay with it, it's only 1 that everyone else is almost banning the country about. So that in future, we do not get to experience the things that we experience in terms of the fact that security agencies, if you were to listen to that speech fully, the security agencies that were involved were aimed at taking charge of the process against the relevant constitutional provisions in terms of the body that is mandated, being the IBC, has got or is expected to have independence of their ability to deliver the work.
Right.
They are supposed to have non-interference by non-actors. We have got stakeholders who are parties or participants in support of the IBC. But he's saying this commission of inquiry will ensure that we get rid of non-actors being involved in the tallying center, National Tallying Center. We also ensure that the commission is allowed to do its job to its completion. We also will be able to establish the fact that why is it that we have got 6 elections? It's only 1 that gives us problems. There are so many things that I believe Chebukati is seeking when he says he is asking the president to do a commission of inquiry. As to whether or not the president will respond positively, we are yet to know. We've heard him addressing the media a while back saying we've got other pressing, important national issues as at now to deal with. And it doesn't mean that it will not be considered. I am aware, of course, there is an ongoing tribunal against the 4 other commissioners. The 3 actually have exited. 1 is still there. And they are resuming on the 23rd, I believe. Yes, on the 23rd of this month.
6 days' time.
And we will look at, of course, what they will give as a report. I don't expect anything that will enable Commissioner Masit to survive. I've read through the documents. I've listened to her trying to support something that cannot be supported. So I don't see anything that will come that will be positive to the 4 commissioners. But I've indicated the 3 commissioners whom I listened to yesterday when they were doing their last speech. Of course, they will be exiting the office today. And some, believe you me, Professor Gulie said that being a commissioner at IEBC is not for the faint-hearted.
Right.
That was a take-home for me.
Senator, let me carry you short on that. I'll get back to the question of what next, but first to listen to the two commissioners as they gave their account about what to do.
IEBC office as chair of commissioners is not for the faint-hearted. Please choose commissioners wisely.
The journey of IEBC as institution must continue. Despite who comes and leaves, the commission must remain and must continue, because minus IEBC, Kenya cannot stand.
All right, Commissioners Abdi Gulie and Boya Molu there expressing their lessons after 6 years. And Governor, so as you reflect on this, and one might be forgiven to say that, I mean, all of you come from the same political party, and that's not why you're here anyway. But one might be forgiven to say that you will agree with the Chebukati 3 because your side of politics won the election, because those in the opposition would have contrary opinions, and they have expressed them on the public domain. But what is best for this country? Having gone through these elections, 2013, 2017, 2022, and all of them have been disputed, ended up at the Supreme Court, two upheld, there is the 2013 and 2022, but also one nullified August 2017. What for you would really be the lessons moving forward, even as we go to the next step of reconstituting the commission with a clear responsibility, especially to come and review the boundaries of your constituencies and your wards across the country?
Well, it is good to note at this point that Kenya, just like many African nations, are still working on experimental democracy. The strength of budding democracies like Kenya is the strength of a very stable election body. Looking into Chebukati, you could see the agony, you could see the pain in him. But it's also important to know that at this stage, remember 2007 we had Kivuitu, and we've come a long way with so many commissioners, and from Jesoni to where we are today. And there is no single election in Kenya unless for the 2002, which was accepted gracefully. All other elections has been disputed in this country. So one, in my view, is that as we mature democracy in Africa, and I want to confess that Africa is rising because it is even a new functionality. In the past, we have never had these kinds. In the days of Kanu, for example, you would go to Amrulongo and people were declared winners there. So it's been a progress. What I would only appeal is that much as we may even get the right person to head a commission, but as long as sitting governments refuse to accept democracy, we will still be really in pain. What we have witnessed in Kenya in the past and even in other African nations is militarization of government. Because when we militarize government, it means that we are moving away from the popular civilian opinion into a determination by a sitting president to win an election or to have his own projects win elections. So first of all, we need to change the mindset of government and accept that even as government, I could be the president today. But when the voice of people will speak, we must gracefully accept the voice of the people. And this will lead us into a more, more acceptable situation. Secondly, the opposition should also accept, and even competitors in any election, that it is not a must for you to win an election. And when you don't win an election, it doesn't mean you are rigged up. Because the other problem we've had in this country is that you go to an election, and then you lose this election, brokers, political brokers come around you and close to you and tells you they are lying to you, chief, you actually won the election. Then you reject the election. So we have situations of a fair laws, but rejecting the fair laws. And we have a situation of no win, but forcing a win to happen. So structurally, as we move forward and as we build our institutions, it is important to delink the institutions from government operatives. Even this process of selection process of getting and recruiting a new IPC chair, for me, I would really call upon the actors to look into the character of an individual. Indeed, Chebukati went through a difficult time. But had it not for his strong character, this nation would have sunk. Just like Hillary saying, I was actually at Bombers with Hillary, and we never changed a shirt. And at some point, I was just from the university, and I never knew elections going to be this murky. I was getting scared. I was almost hiding because I saw people were mad. Decent people, decent human beings were turning chaotic, and fits all over. And I can tell you that he went through a very difficult time because, truth be said, the then government was determined to win that elections by crook or fair. And the margin and the competition was so close. Okay. But accept this, even if you are defeated by 1 vote, is a defeat. Number 2 can never be a winner. And democracy is often very competitive. And in this case, we must accept the principles of democracy.
Please clarify this for me. When you say militarization of government, what does that mean in the context of the 2022 election?
I would say this, very objectively. From 2013, 2017, up to where we are today, and even post 2002, I think Moi, in his sunset years, could be even a statesman now in talk because he gracefully accepted that loss. But there's always been an element of government militarization where we weaponize the police, we weaponize the military around it. There are 2 ways of ruling. There is the military ideology and now the philosophical ideology behind it. But what we have seen in Kenya often in an election is the military ideological role for that matter. And I would say this without a blink of an eye. If you could see the process of the police, I tell you, you could see the police, a big contingent of police in Bomas. When fights are there, they're just standing like this. And they're just watching. They are not either trying to stop it or anything, but it's like they're also enjoying every bit of it.
What are they supposed to do?
I even go, separate them, talk to them, calm down. But now when a member of a divide tries to rise up, you could receive a very serious slap.
All right, Governor. Well, you can make a contribution to this conversation by calling 0742-961-343 or tweet us at Citizen TV Kenya at Sam Gituku. The hashtag to use is Debrek, or text us via 22422. Wakili, I had asked you the question about reconstituting IEBC. Of course, there's a bill that came from the National Assembly reviewing the composition of the selection panel, splitting 4 picks by the Parliamentary Service Commission, reducing them to 2, then the Public Service Commission to have 1, Political Parties Liaison Committee to have 1, the ICRK to have 2, and LSK to have 1. How far is that bill, and what are the risks? Because now, after today, we have no substantive holder of the position of Commissioner at the IEBC, and there's still a lot of work to be done. It took about 5 months to recruit the Cherera 4. What next now?
Sam, you're right to make reference to the bill, and it is true that the bill is now pending before my committee. The National Assembly have passed the bill which seeks to amend the 4th schedule to the Elections Act, which provides for the nomination and selection of a selection panel that will be mandated with the responsibility of...
You mean IBC Act?
Elections Act, sorry, Elections Act. Yeah. And so this bill is now pending before my committee. What we are seeking to do, which we have done, we received it sometimes in December. And we have taken it through public participation. We have received petitions from the Political Parties Liaison Committee. We have received from Katiba Institute. We have received from various individuals petitions giving their proposals to be incorporated in the debate that we'll be having in the floor of the House on the coming sitting, that is on Thursday. Now, the bill as passed by the National Assembly provides for membership to the selection panel, one of which is what you have said. The Political Parties Liaison will be expected to give 1. The Parliamentary Service Commission will nominate 2. The Public Service Commission nominate 1. LSK 1, interreligious groups to nominate 2. We have had, as a committee, our sessions. both at the committee level and also during consideration of the petitions from the public, the public participation. We are retreating this morning, actually at 8. We will be having a meeting to consolidate the report and release the report for purposes of Thursday sitting.
What is the general view? Are they in agreement? Or?
We are in agreement, but there are certain adjustments that we are making. Remember, Sam, the most noisy participants to every election or to any entity like the IEBC are the political players. The political players in this case are the political parties, such that when we look at the political parties liaison committee, that has now been given a single slot. Political parties liaison committee is a creation of law. It is in the Political Parties Act, Section 38. It is represented both at the county level and at the national level.
Right.
The petitions which we have received, which we have actually considered and positively so, is that we must accommodate this team, that is the political class, by giving them not one, but 2 of the slots. And remember, Sam, and this one, the Deputy Speaker will confirm, the Senate has largely been the house of reason, where voice of reason and objectivity is seen. We have attempted, and I believe we will pass this, to ensure that we become very objective.
Okay.
We will consider. So we are proposing an amendment to that bill so that it goes back to the National Assembly and the Jailer Committee also to consider the propositions which we have had. In that we are adding 1 more member to the political parties liaison committee, so that instead of them giving 1 nominee, they give 2 nominees. 2, we want to amend this bill for posterity. So
wait, so if you add 1 to PPLC, so that raises the number to 8?
No. The publication, yes, the published bill is only seeking to amend clause 2. That has got the representation and not the number. So we are not going to tinker with the number. We will retain the number 7.
Which one do you take away?
So we're taking away 1 from the interreligious groups and giving it to the political parties liaison committee. And 2, we're also seeking to ensure that we specify from the representation coming from the Parliamentary Service Commission, so that we accommodate the stakeholders, male, female, youth, persons with disability, and the interest groups. So we are saying that we will specify that the political parties liaison committee should give us 2, but out of the 2, both cannot be of one gender. When we go to the Parliamentary Service Commission, we're also seeking to consider accommodating the minority and the majority political parties represented in Parliament. And that way, we will be seeking to, widen the representation of all the interest groups, both from the team coming from the political parties and also from the PSC.
Okay, I hear you. And Deputy Speaker, I want to come in on this because the reason why there is this amendment is because the High Court found that you cannot have the Parliamentary Service Commission dominating the selection panel, because if you have 4 out of 7, you already have the majority. You can actually decide who becomes commissioner and who doesn't. Parliamentary Service Commission is basically a sizable number of commissioners are from the political side.
Yes.
In fact, majority of them are appointed by a political organ. If you look at the Public Service Commission, this is a body that is constituted by the president, largely. If you look at the Political Parties Liaison Committee, this is a group of political parties, again, the political class, which Wakili here is saying that you make them 2 instead of 1. If you look at LSK, these are the elite, these are the lawyers. The Interreligious Council of Kenya has only 2. You're taking away 1. So then it means the political elite will still have majority of the voice, because he was also saying that the Parliamentary Service Commission will be for the majority and the minority parties. Don't you think you're defeating the essence of that amendment?
Sam, I don't think so. As Wakili has clearly put it, the players who participate in elections are politicians. And those are the people you should really make sure you accommodate them and their interests. And this amendment is good because I can see now there is a good balance. As I've put it, when there were 4 panelists from the Parliamentary Service Commission, there was already bias. But you can see this new distribution is hitting some interest, because now, like the PPLC, Political Parties Liaison Committee, and only 1 member. And you see there are so many parties which are in this committee, the small parties and the upcoming parties. So to me, if you satisfy the politicians, elections will be free, will be smooth. Because these are the people raise issues, you know, and these are the actors. Political parties participate in elections. Politicians participate in elections.
Elections are not for politicians, Deputy Speaker, they are for the country.
No, yeah, but you know, democracy dictate that, you see, that is why we have, even in parliament, the majority, the minority, the other players in the parliament, small parties, independents. If you balance this power, then you will heal a lot of issues. If we have a commission that every Kenyan is happy, that commission, the IBC has been constituted fairly, and now we are going to the elections with a very fairly fairly, everyone will be happy. You know, but if you start doubting that the IBC is not properly constituted, even before participating in the elections, suppose now we constitute IBC for 2027, we have almost 4.5 years to go, and then this IBC will be discredited 4.5 years to the elections. Do you expect that the players will accept the outcome of that election?
Look, I don't think there's a commission that was more participatory in its composition than the Chebukati Commission of 2017 January, because it was the product of the Joint Select Committee of the Senate and the National Assembly. They came together, they decided to amend the various laws on elections, ended up with a commission of 7 instead of 9 commissioners. And then the process of picking them was also very consultative. You could actually see the balance of the political interest still ended up being disputed 2 times or 3 times if you count the October 2017 election. And one would have expected that the voice of the religious groups is what gives it a bit of independence. The voice of the Law Society of Kenya gives it the professional value. So those would have been 3 out of 7. Now you're taking it away to be 2 out of 7. And you still think that would be a fair process?
Yeah, to me, I think, you know, that is why every law is subjected to Parliament, to the National Assembly, to the Senate, so that all these issues can be canvassed. Okay. Actually, you know, I'm now doing what we call anticipating debate, because this bill will be coming to the floor on Thursday, and if I discuss it here now, our standing orders actually do not allow that. As a deputy speaker and somebody who presents the House, maybe I might go the wrong way, because I should wait for his report, his report, and then I criticize, you see. Because now I'm forming opinion even before the bill is still...
I hear you, Speaker, but I'm speaking to you as a senator of Meru. And this is part of public participation.
No, even as a senator of Meru, I should not actually discuss the bill. As a senator of Meru and also senator of Bomet, we should not discuss that bill before it gets into the House.
Senator, Deputy Speaker, please don't gag us. Governor Mutai, what are your thoughts? Because yes, those arguments about the fairness of the commission are as real as the process of recruiting new commissioners. And with all what has been experienced, do you still think the political powers should have, this is what? Is it 5 out of 7 in the recruitment panel? That's powerful.
I may have a slight sense of thought, because much as it's a political process, but it's a citizen issue. When we go out to seek for votes, it's the people that actually vote us. But I know there's still public participation the same, and even as the discussions are ongoing, I agree partly with my colleagues that when you satisfy the politician, probably there will be lesser noise. But we must also ask ourselves, what is the feelings of the public? What is the feeling of the members of the public? Wakili Sigei indicates that he has done a public participation. And, you know, of course, the Constitution allows for public participation in all our angles. But most importantly, what I would really weigh in some is that the character of the people who are going through this process. I mean, whether it is from religious organizations, and where I agree with you again is that we could have had more even religious people there. Whether it is from religious organization, where it is from the political class, what is the character of that individual that is going to sit in the selection process? Can he be able to carry out this sense of trust among Kenyans that is able to be independent and objective enough in the selection process? Because as it is, the process is as good as its end. And if we're able to get men and women you know, regardless of the political class that they're coming from. I watched the other day, and I really want to applaud Senate. The Senate we have, I'm seeing a very mature, a more robust, a more sensible Senate. During the proceedings of the impeachment of Waiguru, I watched Senator for Nairobi, forgetting his name, the Senator for Nairobi, Edwin Sifuna.
You mean the impeachment of Governor Kawira?
Kawira, rather.
Okay.
The proceedings of that impeachment of Kawira. And I was able to listen to Sifuna. Mm-hmm. I don't come from the same political party with Sifuna, but the kind of questions he was asking was so objective. Right. It was going beyond political formation into now the role of Senate, which is oversight. So I'm just saying, even as you're talking about political caucusing and talking about the people being nominated to carry this process, it is good to have people of strong reputation and strong acceptance in the public. And once finally these people would sit and do their process, my appeal to them is, because we will get a person, that may they rise above their personal interests. Okay. May they see the picture of the nation, and may they see the Kenyans that have for a very long time been struggling to get justice through a democratic processes. Mm-hmm. And as we go through that, it is also our work at the devolved units, because while we have devolution, we're supposed to cure all these other things of sense of marginalization, sense of stereotyping, and the sense of not belonging. It is my feeling that if we are able to work very well as county government, if we are able to share resources in a very good way and administer them very well, and struggle hard to change the lives of our people, we'll have a more reduced competitive election. Because as it is now, people are dying for presidency because there have been a notion that when you are the president, you'll take resources to your home, you'll take resources to your tribe. But if you're able then, and I'm happy when I saw the president was at Nyanza the other day, you could see the kind of engagement he has. Mm-hmm. You could see the kind of development projects being taken to the region. Mm-hmm. And over time, there will be a sense of inclusivity and a sense of belonging to every Kenyan. And that will also include very much the process of accepting election results. But as long as we still carry this notion that if I don't have my president, we will be excluded from government, then there will always be competitive electioneering process. So it is upon us leaders who are in position now to try to work this nation in a very mature way, try to see how much we can utilize the resources that we have been given, and try to see how we can, you know, try to improve the lifestyles of our people, so that we try to divert people from competitive election into seeing that you can get food on your table. Okay,
I hear you, Governor. Yes.
Allow me to put into context what I took you through. I have the petition from Katiba Institute, Political Parties Liaison Committee, the Council of Governors, County Assembly Forum, various individuals, Catholic Bishops Caucus, and a number of others who, when we published the bill and sought for petitions from the public, they gave us recommendations. The context of now the numbers which I've shared with you in terms of the proposition of we have 2 here, we have 1 here, we have 2 here, to make 7, is what we will be considering as a committee in our next session for purposes of debate on Friday. So it's not that we have taken it into consideration and have published to have those numbers. However, the justification is cutting across, as I've said, in order to accommodate all those parties, where we are all going to largely incline to making sure that it is representative of the interest of the people of Kenya. Remember, Parliament under Article 94 is mandated by the Constitution to legislate on behalf of the people. When you look at, for instance, the Parliamentary Service Commission, it is not that it will pick one of its members. That is not the law. They will nominate as a Parliamentary Service Commission. When you look at the Political Parties Liaison Committee, the law is not saying one of them must be, such that if we are talking about a minority and a majority party, it's not necessarily one of the members of the commission.
Not true.
Yeah.
True.
So we definitely will be very objective in consideration of those petitions received, so that we give a selection panel that is going to be representative.
No, the reason why I raised that, Senator Wakili, is because you may not take a politician to the selection panel,
yes,
but they may take with them instructions from their...
You heard what Chebukati said, what Professor Gulia said. Let us have people who will be independent and able to withstand. And I believe that will be the rallying code to even the selection panel and the membership that they'll be seeking out to have.
All right. Engineer Lazaro Kanyamboki is saying that Chebukati leaving IBC a divided house. I don't know where he got the courage to praise himself in front of the cameras. Just one of the viewers who is sending in their views about the end of term of Wafula Chebukati and two commissioners. And now I want us to transition to talk about matters in the